Well, Jim, I don't know if it will require a lawyer like Stephen P. New. I don't know if it's gotten that far, but a lot of the listeners...
Does he handle divorces?
Well, a lot of the listeners today, as we are recording, got in touch with us, and then it went a little bit, I guess, viral of sorts, as a virus
If we've been bombarded with this.
Apparently, a debate broke out on Wrestling Observer Radio on the Figure 4 weekly Wrestling Observer website between Bryan Alvarez and Dave Meltzer about the Overrun and DVR reaction to said Overrun. We have some audio we'll play here. We'll review this. We'll talk about it. But any initial thoughts on this?
Yeah, well, first of all, this is a debate that, well, we haven't been having it because we haven't been disagreeing, but we've been talking about it. They can't manage their time. AEW, they're overrunning. The DVR's not getting the finish of the main event, whether... And one thing is Uncle Dave is acting like it's only been the past few weeks. They've been a minute late, or they've been close to running off to the point where they didn't actually run over their time, but they were narrowly close to it. But by the time they got in what they needed to get in. And I've been talking about it, and I've had people go, well, you ought to learn how to set your DVR for extra time. Why is that my responsibility when I'm just trying to watch their fucking program, right? So we've been talking about this.
And we don't have to do it for Raw or any of the other shows.
We don't have to do it for Raw when Raw runs when Raw runs over. Baba Wawa. We don't have to do it when Raw runs over. We don't have to do it for NXT because they're in the schedule. Because it's a professionally done fucking proposition with the network and the company that's producing the program. And it's not like, as I've said, calling from the truck, hey, we need more time, which is what you're going to hear Dave admitting that they do. So it's nice to be vindicated again. But point being, they had this discussion. And one would think that this wouldn't be, of all the inflammatory things that go on in the world of wrestling and in AEW, this wouldn't be the breaking point between these two longtime life partners who've built a home for themselves and a life. And who's going to get possession of the puppies and the parakeet? Because as you're going to see, this was the most hilarious thing I've ever heard, because Dave cannot give up any kind of ground on the AEW defense mechanism that's been implanted in his brain. And as you said, we were bombarded by this, or with this, by the listeners and people wanting us to hear it and wanting us to know what we would say. And to be honest, if this is the kind of entertainment that you get by subscribing to Wrestling Observer Radio or Figure 4 Weekly or Uncle Dave's fucking cabin or whatever they're writing over there, get all of it. Because this is the funniest shit that I've ever seen.
Well, I don't know if that was the intention, but let's go to this. This is, we'll obviously be talking a lot about it and breaking it up. But Dave Meltzer and Bryan Alvarez discussing Dynamite, I presume. Let's go to this.
AEW needs to contact YouTube TV and probably some other providers as well, and either stick to the damn 2 hours or let them know when you're going to do an overrun.
Well,
because for the second week in a row, I did not see the end of the main event.
Okay, so here's the deal.
But you know what, Dave? Hold on.
Yeah.
NXT went 16 minutes over. No problem.
Yeah, you know why?
Zero problem.
Yeah, because NXT that's built into the show.
No. Their overrun is 9 minutes.
Okay.
It's 9 minutes every week. They go 9 minutes over every week. This week they went 16 over and everything recorded.
Okay, but what that means is that
they scheduled a 16-minute overrun.
They knew days in advance when this thing went down that it would be. With AEW, when they do these overruns, the overruns are I don't say decided. They take place as the show is going on.
Well, that's
boom goes the Dynamite.
Yeah, let's stop it there real quick because...
Boom goes the Dynamite. They are decided when the show is going on because they realize we're about to shit the bed. We can't get this in. And It's not just these tournament matches that are going 7-8 minutes long or whatever. It's when they had to rush in the past to get the rest of their angle in or whatever at the end of the show because they're rushing because they can't manage their time. I'm sorry.
No, let's go back to Dave and Brian discussing.
Because they're so good by themselves.
Fine, because that's a problem. People are missing the end of the show.
Well, they did miss
2 weeks in a row now.
They did miss the end of what was it? The Moxley and what Moxley match was it? Moxley and Mark Briscoe match.
Yes.
Yeah. They did miss the last couple of minutes of that match for that reason. I mean, I could go say like, look, this is what I do. I do for every AEW. I mean, they're not going to do this on Friday, and they don't have tournament match on Friday, but they are going to.
They better not do an overrun on Friday. The 10 p.m. show that no one watches, they're not going to get an overrun.
With the way that they lose audience by the end of the show, they would increase their ratings if they did an underrun.
Do this on Saturday, and they are going to do this on Wednesday, as long as this tournament goes on, because they don't want to do 7-minute tournament matches or 9-minute tournament matches. So what you need to do, as long as this tournament's going on,
format the show so you have 20 minutes for the main event.
Well,
let me stop it right there. Bingo! He shut it down. That's exactly right. The problem, Dave's acting like these are real matches. Dave's acting like you're booking the matches. You don't know. I mean, it just
you don't know. You just don't know. And also, why not have a 7-minute tournament match? Why does every goddamn match have to be 20 minutes long? The Midnight Express to Fantastics from the first Clash of Champions was like 9 minutes.
That's right.
Keep going. It gets good.
What'd you say?
I said it gets good here.
This for 4 years. They entered at the top of the hour for 4 years.
Yeah, but
so don't tell me they can't do it. Of course they can.
Of course they could, but you adjust on the fly and you cut segments. In this case, they're going to give that main event match. They're going with the plan for the main event match. So what you have to do is you've got to record the next show. You're going to have to do that for the whole tournament.
I can't record the next show. What's the next show? What's the movie going to be next week?
I don't know.
I don't know either. And on YouTube TV, you don't record the time. I don't say record from 10 to 11. It doesn't do it that way. You have to choose the show that you want to record.
Well,
so that means that every week I need to figure out what movie is going to be playing after Dynamite.
Is it that hard? I do it.
That's not my job.
It's my job, and I've done it every week.
Bro,
I missed. Okay.
It's their job to make sure that the viewer can see the whole show. That's their job.
Okay, can I tell you something?
Yes.
You're right and you're wrong. Okay, you're right in the sense that in the perfect world, you're right. You know what? If again, you're not a sports fan, and I am. When I do a sport, you can the sport may go there for 3 hours, but all the time, constantly, if there is, and like MMA, which is the one that I would do most, basketball sometimes. Okay, when I do those, I always record the next show because you cannot. They're not going to end on time. Maybe they will. Maybe they won't. But I'm not going to go and get mad about it. It's like that is my job when I'm watching a sports event that I have to take into account that the DVR may not record the whole sports event because sports events are not perfect. It's not like it's a sitcom.
Okay, well,
let me stop it there because to a level, and there's so much to dissect there, but Dave's kind of right. Like if I'm going to record the Met game, I know it has like a set window in the guide, and then I may record the program after if I go to the guide because it's a baseball game. There's no formatting that show.
They could go an hour long. You never know.
It could end early. It could be a rain delay and run late. There's all sorts of real world things and game related things that could cause a delay that's different than this week. The news decided they're just going to keep going. Like no other show does that. But
also, with a sporting event of that type, or a major fight that's being broadcast live, most people, they don't want to hear it on the radio who won before they've seen it, or see it on the TV news, or pop up their Google machine and see it on the headline, so they're watching it. And like you said, if they care that much about it, they're going to record the show after. But they don't record because they think the baseball game's going to go 7 minutes over and they're going to miss the finish of the last game of the 5 or 6 or 7 games that was on that 2-hour program. Wrestling is completely different. And again, keep going because Alvarez is going to give a couple more options and Dave's going to shoot the shit out of all of those too because he can't have any answer otherwise than Tony Khan is doing the right thing.
And Alvarez is 100% in the right from everything I've heard, and I've also never heard him scream at Dave like he just did there. It's not my job!
Well, of course not. It's not anybody. You shouldn't have to work to see the fucking thing that they're trying to show you, so you'll spend money on it to see more of it.
He's right. Well, let's go back to, from Wrestling Observer Radio, subscribe at Figure 4 Weekly Online or F4W Online.
Oh, if they're going to keep doing this every week, I'm gonna listen nonstop.
You get more free plugs. The more you guys fight, the more free plugs you get.
Yes.
Here's more with Dave and Brian.
This isn't a sports event. It's a 2-hour scripted professional wrestling show that for 4 hours ended in exactly 2 hours.
Okay,
so I'm positive they can end on time. Or,
but the point is they're
set it for 15 minutes over like NXT does every week, and then go ahead and go over.
Well,
Plan in advance. If you're going to go 9 minutes over for every tournament match, then let them know that you're going to go 9 minutes over.
They don't know. It's not. The show is planned to go 2 hours.
You know what, Dave?
They don't end on time. And the difference is that they're not going to do. Okay, here's the deal.
No, hold on.
No.
This is NXT goes 9 minutes over. They set it for 9 minutes over every week.
Because that's
the plan. If the show only goes 4 minutes over, it doesn't matter. They didn't go the whole 9. They set a block there, an extra 9 minutes to make sure.
Okay, well, you can contact.
So trust me, AEW can do this as well.
This is not AEW. This is the station. AEW can't do.
No, he just said that they were calling them as the show was going on. It's not the station calling them and saying, "Hey, go 9 minutes over."
Yeah,
it's the other way around. They're saying we need 9 more minutes, and he won't have it. Okay. If they don't have to, we've established now by what they're saying that they don't have to use all of the overrun. So they don't have to, what if that happens if the match ends after 4 minutes after the hour? They can just go off the fucking air and go on to the next program, which is ready to go. They don't have to stand there with their dick in their hand for 5 more minutes. That's not what Alvarez is saying. Dave can't have it end on time. Dave can't have it plan the overrun ahead of time. Dave can't have it put the overrun in the fucking DVR devices anyway, just in case. It's just got to be, if Tony thinks it's necessary, that's what we need to do.
Again, he's treating it almost like these are real matches. Like, you can't expect him to go quickly. These are real matches. How could you format it? Well, let's get back to this.
Cut the girls segment, put the main event in the ring already. We did it all the time on live TV in days gone by.
Do this, and they have a movie set to start at that time. TBS is allowing them to go over if they need to, like it's a sporting event. Okay.
That's so tell YouTube TV we're going to go 9 minutes over every week, so they record 9 extra minutes, and it's not a problem.
Well, perhaps
that's
they could
it.
do. But they don't know ahead of time. That's the difference. NXT knows ahead of time.
Just presume you're going 10 minutes over.
Okay, I'm just telling you that you have to review this as a live sports event. And a live sports event, whenever you're recording a live sports event, you have to record the next show.
I'm not
I'm just telling you that
Dynamite
that's the deal with
is a live sporting event. It's a scripted pro wrestling show. If you're going to do a tournament that's going to go over, tell them you're going to go 10 minutes over every week.
Brian, you can complain all you want. You're just going to keep missing the end of the show.
That's fine. I'll miss the end of the show.
Good. Then don't complain about it. Because
I'm going to complain.
I'm telling you ahead of time what it is.
Dave,
I'm telling you
can't record. I can't make it record more time. It doesn't allow me to do that.
Record the next show. I can't either.
I don't know what the next show is. It's a random movie every week.
It's not that hard to find out. Go to the website and look at the schedule. They will, just like I do, they will tell you the movie. It's not that hard, and I go and record that movie. If I forget to do this, it's my fault. It's not their fault because I know the score. Because it's the same thing. Like again, when I watch UFC or Bellator, and if the main event. If I miss the end of the main event because I forgot to record the next show, that is on me. That is not on them because I know in the NBA, if it cuts me off with 4 minutes left in the fourth quarter of a close game. That's my fault. That's not their fault. And this is the same thing. You can say, oh, it's scripted.
Dave,
and you're right. You're right.
It is their fault that they don't just add a 10-minute buffer at the end every week. That's their fault.
Because it's not the plan.
It doesn't matter. If they end at 10, that's fine. They still have the buffer just in case.
Yes.
Okay, guess what?
NXT does it every week, and it's never a problem.
Then why doesn't the NFL, NBA, NHL?
Oh, my God.
Because it's not a scripted show, and it could go a half hour, it could go an hour, it could go whatever.
But they still don't do it. Wouldn't it be in one of these games? Shouldn't they like tell the DVR to go 45 minutes longer so you never miss the finish?
Yeah, they probably should.
Okay, they don't do it. That's the rules. That's what they do.
Well, you know what? When we talked about this last week, Dave.
So what we
listen. We talked about this last week.
No.
Hold on.
Well, hold on. Let's stop it there for another little break.
Well, like you see, you can't add 45 minutes to it. The baseball game might go another hour, but what match is going to go an hour past the fucking end of the show?
By the way, is this a preview of future AEW defense to why they have no viewers? It's their fault. They're not watching. It's their fault.
He's blaming the viewer for not working hard enough to watch this program, that they're doing a favor to this company by watching to begin with.
The guy who comes home from work, gets off the train, gets home, takes off his shoes, has dinner, talks to his kids, wants to sit back and watch wrestling, he's going to have that show cut off because he didn't know, at least in this example, what the next movie was. It's a random movie each week. That's the funniest thing. Dave's like, you just have to record the next movie, and I'm just like, I can't figure out what the movie is.
Well, besides that, your simile is no good, Brian, because none of the AEW fans are employed. They don't get off the train after work. But yes, that's the problem. Is it's continued to be narrowcasted to this small group that will do anything to see these programs. And Dave. How does Dave have time to write 80,000 words a week when he does all of these minute tasks and watches all of the Joshi princesses? And still, does he ever, he doesn't clean his office often, but anyway, finish this thing up. God damn, these guys are killing.
Let's go back to these two. This is my new favorite comedy team.
You told me last week that final quarter died. Am I wrong?
Yes.
Okay, it's going to do that again this week.
Yes,
are they happy with that? Or are they going to tell the fans it's their fault that they didn't record the next show?
They're not going to say anything what they're telling, but you got to learn. That could happen with UFC too. That could happen with the NBA. That could happen with anything. The only problem is that there is a big difference because very few people actually DVR their sports.
Let me stop this. I had no idea how far they were going to take this put your money where your mouth is about sports-based wrestling. You have to treat it like a sport now. You don't know when it's going to end. That wasn't what I wanted from sports-based wrestling.
Yeah, sports-based presentation. You don't know when this shit's over with.
How about that?
Yeah.
So people are DVRing this show, so maybe you should make sure that they get it so your final quarter doesn't die.
But there are people who do. Okay. It's not that difficult.
That's fine. If they want to have a low final overrun quarter every week, that's fine with me. Or they could just set it to go 10 minutes over and not worry about it.
And then it goes short. It's not the plan. I mean, look, in a perfect look, if you.
Oh, by the way, this person says on YouTube TV, sports recordings do have a 30-minute overrun built in, so they actually do it for live sports.
Well, then they should have it here.
Yes, exactly.
Good. Go
That's
tell
what
YouTube.
I'm saying.
Go tell YouTube TV.
Oh my God, I'll email them right after the show.
Tell YouTube TV then.
Well, I'm sure people. Well, I'll complain about it.
You should.
I will. I'm sick of missing the end of this show. That's what I'm saying.
All I know is that with me, I don't watch on YouTube TV. I always have to record the next show when it's any sport event that I want to see. And I don't complain about it. I just do it because
my gimmick is to complain, and I shall.
After like the first 3 times when I miss the end of a game, I go, golly, I should learn.
When it's not a game, it drives people off. When it's a game, you think of it like a game. When it's professional wrestling and every week you don't get to see the finish of the match, it drives people off. It's a different animal than a football game or a baseball game or anything.
God almighty. But once again, I'm telling you, Martin and Lewis, Laurel and Hardy, Abbott and Costello, Olsen and Johnson. Now we got Meltzer and Alvarez. If they'll do that every week, I will listen to that program without fail. God damn, my stomach hurts.
I mean, it's craziness. That's why you lose viewers. Fans are not going to go out of their way like that, and they shouldn't be expected to. And the bigger point is, if you're going over every week because you can't manage your time, and if that may just be you won't say no to anyone who wants to go long, I don't know how this happens every time, then ask for an extra 10 minutes. You go 4 minutes long, you give the network back their 6 minutes. Any final thoughts on Dave and Brian's?
I mean,
this is a sad thing, the sign of the times that AEW is driving fans apart.
Well, no, now they're breaking up marriages. Because that's, again, Dave and Brian have built a life together for years now. And suddenly this comes between them. I think maybe they need to go into counseling over this.